Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is JP St. Louis, fresh off his win on PFL. Hello, JP. How are you?
Thank you. And I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. And in about a week ago, you won a fight. It was another fight. You are currently on a five fights winning streak. It was a fight against Tyler Ray. So, if you can tell
hmm
me, how happy are you after this fight?
I'm pretty happy. I feel like I had a great performance in that. It was my big show debut. PFL is one of the biggest organizations for MMA in the world, and having a pretty, pretty good win on a stage like that is nice. We were the show opener and we had a great fight, unanimous decision. Usually I get my finishes, but he's a hard guy to finish. But I feel like it was a very dominant victory.
And actually, you fought against him in 2017.
Yeah, I did.
So it's a
And
kind of rare thing to have the rematch like 8 years after.
yeah, it was kind of surprising, but not really, because the first time I fought him, I was like, I know that I'm good and I caught him, right? But I knew that I had a feeling that he was a really great fighter and he was going to continue to go in and win. So I was like, there's a chance that we may end up seeing each other again in the cage, whether it be the big show or maybe just like on an LFA card again somehow for like a belt, CFFC belt, one of those things. But then to make my LFA debut, which was my TV debut, and then make my PFL debut against the same person is pretty crazy.
So maybe it's time to UFC debut against him.
Yeah, that would be nuts if we made all those debuts against each other. It would make for great fights each time.
And about your PFL contract, do your next fight also will be there?
I'm hoping so. We're still trying to figure all that out.
And if you can tell me, because at one point in your career you were 7-5, and right now you won 5 fights in the row. So what changed in your maybe style, maybe approach to the game that right now you are like almost unstoppable?
Um, One, belief in myself. That's one, and it's been slowly building. And I also think, being under Julian Williams down at Fusion XL, it's changed a lot of things for me, my confidence, my grappling ability, but then also my overall development as a mixed martial artist has grown since I've been down there. And yeah, man, it's like I didn't even know that I was 7-5 at one point. I, I didn't like I knew at some points like my record was not great, but yeah, I guess so. Thinking about it, 5 fights in a row from seven, that would make me 12-5. So yeah, it's just a mixture of a lot of things, becoming a better martial artist, honing my skills a little bit more, being more confident, and also remembering that I have fun with this. And that was a big thing where Julian is actually a really good, reminder of that. And he's a great coach for it because he's like, remember that you guys have fun doing this. So actually have fun. So have fun training, have fun fighting.
And actually, we can see after your results that definitely something is working great. And like, of course, like Ray is a very good fighter. Nick Mack is a very good fighter. So it's not only that you are winning fights, but also winning fights against really good competition.
Yeah. It's like Nick Mack was undefeated and Tyler Ray, me and him have a similar record and he's fought some killers. He has UFC vets on his resume and then just like tough regional fighters as well, like prospects. So it's a really good win. It's going to age well.
And you have in your record many guillotine strokes, since like 5 or 6, I believe. And how good is your submission in like training room? Is there like people who are able to escape it?
I mean, yeah, of course. There's always going to be people that are able to escape it, and that's one of the things that you want out of your training partners. You don't want them to not be able to fight against any of your moves. You want people that can push you. But I will say that usually when I lock on a submission, someone's getting tapped. I have a lot of confidence in my submission skills. And I got my brown belt from Gerald Mearshart. He's the middleweight title holder, not the title holder, the middleweight submission leader for submissions and all that. Yeah. So I have a good background for how to get submissions, how to finish those submissions, and just having that overall finishing mindset. And when I got down to fusion, I was able to learn a lot more with grappling, like small details, and make it even harder for people to get away from me. My control has increased, my understanding of like defense. So it's made just, I think it's a lot more scary for people to be on the ground with me, truth be told.
Yes, and probably your next opponent will have think a lot whether he wants to take you on the ground, because in the end, it always will be a chance for you to catch the guillotine.
Especially, yeah, definitely. And then especially with my striking skills, because my last fight, I kept it on the feet majority of the time. I think maybe 1 minute or a minute and a half of the total fight was on the ground, and I threatened a submission um during parts of that total ground time. But yeah, I kept it on the feet and was doing my thing on the feet because a lot of people don't actually know that I prefer to strike, but I will always take the fight wherever it needs to go. I try to be pragmatic about it. Just if the person's not as good on the ground, it can take them down. But fighting a wrestler, even though I know I can grapple, wrestle, I just kept this one on the feet because I was winning there the whole time.
And what was the main reason for you to pursue this career, like overall combat sport, and of course, like MMA career?
Good question. So I did one season of wrestling in high school, my senior year, and I had already been watching MMA for a while. And there was an interest in martial arts forever. I've always loved martial arts since I was like a little kid. I did Hapkido when I was 11, would mess around with like friends or like mess around doing like karate stuff with my friends, sparring, whatever it could be, slap boxing in bathrooms, every on occasion, like fights. So I've always been interested in combat sports, but after I did my senior year wrestling, I was just like, ah, I want to keep on doing stuff. So I found like a local MMA gym. There wasn't really much like teaching going on. There's just a bunch of like tough guys together. But then I started training, and then I found a judo gym and I started training judo. And then a kickboxer came in, like an amateur kickboxer came in and started teaching. And at that point, I had no interest in fighting. I just wanted to train and be a great training partner. So I wanted to get really good. So I was like, treat me like you're fighters, but I have no intentions of fighting. But as that kept on going on, there we would have like when you invite another gym over to spar, or you go to another gym to spar, and I would do well with some of the fighters or start beating up fighters, and they're like, you should take a fight. So then I took a fight, and then the interest just kept on growing and growing until my third amateur MMA fight for a belt. I got my nose broken in the first round, got completely beat up, and then I came back in the second round and choked him out pretty quick. And then I was like, you know what? I love this sport. It's hard to say that you love something when everything comes easy. Well, I should say it's easy to say you love something when everything is coming easy, but that's not true love. You have to go through some trials, tribulations, overcome obstacles. And once I overcame that obstacle of finally, losing a round, getting beat up, I was like, okay, yeah, I truly love this. I had to fight through adversity many times in 3 minutes, and then I came out on top. I love this. And that's when like, shortly after, I decided that I wanted to move to Rufus-Sport. So I saved up money for 2 years and moved there 2015.
So it's kind of a cool story that in the end, like at the beginning, it wasn't a plan. You just want to like help others.
Yeah, pretty much. I just wanted to be a good training partner at first.
And your first amateur bout was 2012.
My first was actually 2011.
So,
Yeah.
so it was, let's say, back in the days, because it's like 14 years ago.
Yeah, back in the day.
And from your perspective as the fighter, like from the organization's perspective, were there many changes in like comparing 2011 to 2025?
In terms of like, can you ask that question again, please?
Yes, yes, like the being a fighter, so being in the like locker rooms, like organizations perspective that you have a contact and contracts with promoters.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. Excuse me. So when I first, like my first fights, I would fight in like high school gyms, churches, church gyms. I fought at, like a firehouse, and then I would fight at like an agricultural state fairgrounds, and there would be like barn equipment in the in the corner room where we're supposed to be warming up and stuff. A really small space. The areas were extremely small, and now like as like I've progressed and as MMA has gotten more popular, you see it's like nicer venues, fighting at more casinos. Um, Almost on a regular, there's like a casino or it's just a nice like expo center, something of that nature. Like there was like nice venues back then, but overall it's just now it's not as uncommon to have a nice venue. Like a lot of shows are doing it pretty good and having some type of streaming, things of that nature. Back then, you fought and you would have to wait like a month or two to finally see the footage of your fight, unless your friends recorded it.
And actually, there are a lot of very good promotions in the US right now. Of course, a lot
Mhm.
of them are shown on UFC Fight Pass, but overall, there are like many promotions. Of course, they are not super big, and in the end, you probably still want to be in the UFC because of like money and challenges. But in the end, it's probably much better than even like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, way better than 10 years ago. Now it's like at least there's other organizations where fighters can make a good living. You know, PFL, a lot of fighters have made a lot of money through like the tournaments and before like when it was World Series of Fighting. And then you have one FC, and then UFC, of course, everyone knows that one, the biggest organization in the world. A lot of people have made a lot of good money. Granted, fighters can still get paid more, but it's it's way better than what it was before.
Okay, JP, so many thanks for the time and for conversation. And I hope that your next fight will be definitely big one, either like PFL or other organization, but definitely a big fight.
I hope so, man. I'm ready for that big stage. I have the big show. I'm ready to be in there competing against the best and really not even just competing. I always say I don't want to compete. I want to dominate the best. So I just want to be fighting the best in the world and showing them how good I am.